To begin this tutorial, we'll go to the Curve tab and create a circle. We'll type 0 in the command bar and press Enter to create it at the center point. Then, make sure diameter is selected in the options. We'll type 5.35 millimeters as the diameter and press Enter to create it. Next, using the gumball from the top view, we'll move the circle minus 4.35 millimeters to the left. Now, we'll create a vertical line at the center of the circle. Make sure OSNAP is active to select the center points. Now go to the top and click on the Trim command. Select the circle, then the line, and press Enter. After that, click on the right side of the circle to trim it. Now we can delete the created line. From the top view, we'll go to the Transform tab and use the Mirror command to create a reflection. We'll type 0 and press Enter to set the center. Then while holding Shift, we'll click on the upper part of the axis. And now we have our two curves. Select both curves and change them to the user layer of your choice. We'll return to the four views, and we can use Pan, Zoom, and Rotate, and then Zoom Extents All to center all views. Now, to create the infinity shape, we'll use the Blend command. To do this, go to the Curve tab and click on the command. We'll select the upper end of the left curve and then the lower end of the right curve. In the Options window, we'll change to Curvature and select Join to connect the curves. Press OK to accept. Now we'll use the Blend command again for the other two ends. We now have our infinity-shaped curves. Now we need to edit some curve points. To do this, select the curve and then select the four central points one by one, starting from the top. Follow the dashed yellow line of points to know which point is next. Press Shift to select more than one point. Once you have the 4 points selected, activate the Grid Snap option from the right view and, using the gumball, move the points up 1 square, which is 1 millimeter. Then select the two ends, deactivate Grid Snap, and move them down using the gumball. Now select the other 2 points to create a smooth curve and move them up from the right view using the gumball. To finish editing the curve, go to the front view and select all the points on the top. Move them up until the highest point is 1 millimeter above the axis, using the grid squares as reference. Then adjust the points to obtain a smooth curve. Now we have our curve finished. Show the four views again. Select the curve and click on the Offset command. Then activate the Both Sides option in the command bar. Set the distance to 1 millimeter. Then in the top view, click to create the two curves. Select the curves and change their layer to differentiate them better. As you can see, when selecting the created curves, they have too many points. To reduce them, select the two curves and click on the Fit command. Then type 0.1 and press Enter. Now the curves are ready to create the reference surface. We'll create a perpendicular line on the left side, exactly at the height of the central axis. Now we'll go to the Surface tab and use the Sweep to Rails command. We'll select the outer curves and finally the created line, then press Enter to create the surface. As you can see, the surface isocurves are not correctly aligned. So in the Options window, we'll click on Add Slash and add some curves to adjust the curvature. Once it's to our liking, we'll activate the Maintain Height and Close Sweep options. Press OK to confirm the surface creation. We will use this surface as a reference for creating our profile. Now we'll go to the Curve tab and select the central curve. Then we'll use the Rebuild command to reconstruct the curve's points, which will allow us to easily create a profile. In the Options window, We can change the number of points and see how it affects the curve. The yellow guides show the deviation, which can also be seen in the panel. In this case, I'll use 18 points, which is where there's the least deviation, and I have to add the fewest points. Once set, we'll press OK to accept. Now, in the Accessories tab, we'll use the Profile command. From the Presets library, we'll use the PRO08 model. Then we'll click on Edit. The first thing we'll do is change the curves of the profiles. We'll click on the first profile and then on the curve, select Asset 012 and accept. Then we'll do the same with the second profile and also select Asset 012. Now we'll change the width to 2 millimeters and then the height to 1.4 millimeters. Repeat the same for the second profile. Now move Profile 2 and adjust it to the central axis position. Now add the surface to the selector. If you see the element positioned at the bottom, it's because the surface is rotated. Simply select it and type Flip in the command bar to adjust the orientation. Then add it to the selector again to update the position. Now click OK on the command to create our element. To continue, we'll go to the Curve tab and use the Extract ISO Curve command. We'll select the infinity and then select the ISO curve in the central part. We'll click to create it. Change the curve's layer to visualize it better. Now, with the help of OzSnap, we'll create 2 points as shown in the video. Once created, select the ISO curve and use the Split command. Then select the 2 points as separation points and press Enter. You can delete the rest of the curve. Select the remaining curve and create an offset on both sides of 1 millimeter from the top view. Select the 2 offset curves and go to the Surface tab. Then use the Loft command to create a surface. We'll change the surface to another layer. Then we'll select the curve, and in the Accessories tab, we'll use the Profiles command. We'll select Asset PRO08. We'll click on Edit. We'll add a new profile in the central part. We'll edit it and change its orientation to reverse. Then we'll change its curve to Asset 002. We'll also change the curves of the other 2 profiles to Curve 002. We see that the position of the central profile has been updated. We'll edit it and change it to natural. Now we'll adjust all the parameters. We'll change the width to 1.15 millimeters and the height to 1.10 millimeters. We'll do the same for the profile on the other end, changing the width to 1.15 millimeters and the height to 1.10 millimeters. For the central profile, we'll set a width of 2 millimeters and accept the command. I've realized that I haven't added the surface as a reference. We'll select the created profile and click on Edit, add the surface to the selector. Since the rotation is not correct, we'll select it and type Flip. Then we'll add it to the selector again to adjust the solid's position. I'll also make the central profile a bit narrower. I'll change it to 1.6 millimeters wide. Now we accept the command. I'll hide the reference surface, then select the solid and, using the gumball, lower it 0.5 millimeters. Then to create the rail, we'll go to the Solid tab and use the Boolean difference command. We'll select the infinity and press Enter, then select the solid and press Enter. In the command bar, I'll leave the Delete Cutters option as No, in case I want to modify the rail. I'll change the solid to another layer in case we need it in the future. We can see that we now have our rail. Now we'll hide everything except the infinity, so we can work without distractions. We'll only show the central curve and lower it 0.5 millimeters, so that it's exactly on the rail's surface. This curve will help us position our gems. Next, we'll go to the Diamonds tab and use the Advanced Gems on Curve command. We'll add both the curve and the inner surface of the rail to the command selector. Then we'll adjust the gem size for start to 1 and end to 1.5. We'll create another range and set start to 1.4 and end to 1. Then we'll adjust the number of gems, in this case 6. We'll change the alignment to center. I'll change the number of gems to 5 for the first range and 6 for the second so that the gems occupy most of the rail. Now we'll create the cutters. We'll click on the command, select all the gems and add them to the selector. We'll leave the default cutters. We'll hide them for now and click on the prongs command. We'll add the rail's inner surface to the selector. Then we'll adjust the parameters. We'll set the diameter to 0.4 millimeters, the height over girdle to 0.3 millimeters, then the height under girdle to 0.60 millimeters, and finally, the extension for manufacturing to 0.3 millimeters. We'll add prongs to all the gems. Simply click to add and place each prong on the surface. For the central gems, we'll use prongs with a diameter of 0.5 millimeters. You can change the diameter and add the prong. Take your time to position all the prongs. If you need to delete or move a prong, use the dedicated buttons in the panel. Press the right mouse button to finish the prong adding process. Once finished, accept the command. Now we'll show the cutters, and in the Solid tab, we'll perform the Boolean difference. We'll select the infinity and the prongs, press Enter, and then the cutters and press Enter. We see failed in the command bar. I'll explain why this happens. We see that the cutters cross the element from top to bottom, but in the case of the central one, it encounters the same element twice, which is why it fails when detecting something it cannot control. The solution is that when creating the cutters, we will select the gems and type ungroup in the command bar. We will select all except the central one and create the cutters. Then we will create a special cutter for the central gem. We will reduce the height drill until it no longer intersects with the bottom part. Now, with all the cutters created, we'll perform the Boolean difference. We'll select the infinity and the prongs, press Enter, and then the cutters and press Enter. Our model is almost finished. To finalize, we'll go to the Curator panel in the Findings category. We'll select Torus 01. We'll add it to a metal layer and position it. Using the gumball and pressing Shift, we'll scale it. We'll use all views to position it correctly on the upper left side in the center of the infinity. Once your torus is positioned, check that the placement is exactly as you want it. Use the different views to observe the model until it's to your liking. Then we'll use the mirror command to create another one on the other side. And now we have our beautiful infinity, completely finished. Now all that's left is to create a beautiful render to show it on our social media. We'll share a reference render, but don't hesitate to share your results with us.